This game contains scenes of explicit violence and gore. Any kid from the 90s era of video games knows this phrase, as it was a signature splash screen before some of the greatest survival horror video games ever made, like Resident Evil, Silent Hill, and Dino Crisis. Why am I saying this? Because Dead Space sits at the table of the Survival Horror Hall of Fame, right among the goats of the genre, and this remake takes an already great game and elevates it to new heights. Originally created by Glenn Schofield and developed by Visceral Games, the remake is developed by Motive Studio, who previously helped with the development of Star Wars Battlefront 2 and developed Star Wars Squadrons. So it's going to be truly fascinating to see what happens with the studio going forward, as the finished product of Dead Space Remake is extremely polished and high quality through and through. I think it's on par with some of the very best in the industry at the moment, so long as EA doesn't destroy them somehow like they've been known to do with some of their previous developers. Cough cough, Visceral Games. Dead Space Remake is wonderful, from the volumetric lighting and the pitch black darkness that would make Sam Fisher feel right at home, to the overall design of the USG Ishimura, with each of its environments feeling separate yet lived in by the once human inhabitants of this planet-cracking mining ship. Right off the bat, one of the things I noticed in terms of design was how you weren't constantly using the tram to access new environments like you did in the original game. This gives the game a more organic flow than the first game, as you would just beat an area and go to the tram to enter the next area. It would become redundant and predictable, and that is something I did not feel while playing the remake. I also love how they heightened the tension by giving Isaac a flashlight and using a new power regulator feature that has you diverting power from something like the lights to, say, a door or an elevator. This is just a little design change that really adds to the overall tension and immersion. The game always gives you just enough to feel capable, but never enough to feel overpowered. It's balanced with how it dishes out ammo and health, as it's based on what's currently in your inventory. So this keeps the game feeling challenging, but also not completely impossible in an aggravating way. You can also sell your stuff, buy new stuff, and upgrade your weapons and suits. The game gives you lots of choices to play with, so you can choose the approach you wish to take. Man, the gore in this game is awesome. Slowly dismembering necromorphs never felt so good. Using futuristic makeshift engineering tools like the plasma cutter and the ripper to shred the flesh off these creepy lumbering mutations is just satisfying. Using kinesis to throw a flammable tank or a piece of debris feels so resourceful, and stopping the enemy in their tracks with stasis so you can chop them down like a rotten tree in the forest never gets old. The story is engaging enough to keep me following the breadcrumbs to figure out what caused the disaster on the Ishimura that we find ourselves stuck in the middle of. It's very reminiscent of getting to the bottom of the Spencer estate in the original Resident Evil. Another huge highlight here is the soundtrack. You can really tell that they pulled a lot of inspiration from creative influences such as The Thing and Alien, and I really think they nailed it. It adds to the overall cinematic feel of the game, immersing us deeper into its world and the situation befolding in front of us. But ultimately, it's gameplay that's king here. Combat is satisfying, bloody, and brutal. Item management is fun and not overly stressful to the point of making you hoard your precious items. You really do need to use all of your tools in order to progress. The atmosphere is thick, incredibly immersive, and the enemies are downright creepy. And this is all supported by the outstanding sound design. Hearing things crawling around in the vents isn't just ambient noise. as most of the time, there really is something in the vent. So just remember, no one is going to hear you scream in the dead of space.